Hi, and welcome to the Kidney Foundation's Plugged In Show. Today we're on location at Woody's Pub in Coquitlam for our local community Saving Lives event to raise awareness about organ donation registration. Local dignitaries and Coquitlam Search and Rescue Team members were on hand to lend their support to local pub owner Gordon Cartwright and his pledge to make a difference by signing up 125 new registered organ donors. And meet veteran Coquitlam Search and Rescue volunteer Michael Coyle, who shares the story of his journey from PKD diagnosis to pre-transplant patient. So don't go away, because it's all next right here on Plugged In.
The Kidney Foundation's Saving Lives campaign raises awareness about kidney disease, risk factors, and organ donation. The Saving Lives campaign provides an opportunity for businesses and stakeholders across the province to step up and help raise the flag and increase statistics on organ donation registrations in their own local communities. That's exactly what local Coquitlam business owner Gordon Cartwright decided to do in hosting a Saving Lives event at Woody's on Brunette.
When I heard they were looking for community leaders to get involved in doing something in their local community, it took me about 2 seconds to say I'm in.
Woody's Pub has pledged to sign up a minimum of 125 registered organ donors in the coming months by bringing awareness of the need for organ donation registration to their staff and customers. This successful kickoff received great local support from dignitaries in the local community.
Wow.
Speakers included the Kidney Foundation's Ramya Hozak, who champions the Saving Lives initiative, Coquitlam City Councillor Trish Mandewo, an MLA for Coquitlam-Maillardville and Minister of Housing and Municipal Affairs, Selina Robinson. Also out championing the cause was 20-year veteran Coquitlam Search and Rescue volunteer Michael Coyle.
To thank the community and to ask for this kind of awareness.
A kidney patient in need of a kidney transplant who shared his personal story by shining a light on the importance of living organ donation for kidney transplant patients.
All right, we're here at Woody's Pub. It was an event for Saving Lives through Organ Donation with the Kidney Foundation. And one of the speakers today was MLA for Coquitlam-Maillardville, Selina Robinson. You're also the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing.
Yes, I am, and it's a real pleasure to be here today.
Oh, you know, I was listening to you inside. You spoke so eloquently, Selina, about the cause. What does it mean to you to be here today?
Well, when I think about Coquitlam Search and Rescue, and I think about Michael's story.
Consider what these people here today will do for strangers.
And I think about, his 20-year history of taking phone calls in the middle of the night, going out and searching for strangers, people he doesn't know, sacrificing time with his family and his loved ones, making the choice, his choice, to help people in our community in British Columbia, people who are from here or who are visiting here, to make sure that they're safe, and he takes personal risks to make sure that people are safe. And then I think about, the fact that he's living with kidney disease and that he needs a transplant, and it's like, so how do we as a community respond? How do we take care of each other? How is Michael taking care of us? And how do we take care of him and others like him who need an organ?
Like 20 years plus, I believe. They make a difference in such a big way, but individually, members of the Coquitlam community can make a difference, right, by signing up to be organ donors, right?
Well, when you think about how easy it is to take this piece of paper, fill in your name, fill in your particulars, mail it in, a lot of us think, yeah, I would certainly do that. And it's easy to say, but you actually have to do something. And it's really not hard to do, to take that piece of paper, fill in the details, mail it in, make sure that you are in fact on the donor list. It's really critical that be the case, because I think while we have good intentions, if we don't do it, it means that opportunities are missed and lives are lost as a result. And that's not really what our intent is. So acting on our intent is absolutely critical. I
know Woody's has had the target goal of 125 for this particular pub, but there are so many other areas of the community out there within Coquitlam that you think might want to get on board as well.
Well, I would challenge anyone who has a storefront or a restaurant or a pub like Woody's, I would challenge them, all of them, to make it really easy for your customers. Provide them with the opportunity to learn a little bit and to sign up and just collect it, and maybe get a little bit of competition going here in Coquitlam-Maillardville. I think it's a real opportunity for everyone to get involved. We are one community. We are a fabulous community. We have wonderful volunteers, and I know that everyone, wants to give back, and this is a wonderful opportunity to give back, is signing up to be an organ donor. I know that this community will absolutely beat this target.
Well, Selina, more than once I've heard that your tagline should be the hardest working MLA this side of the Rockies, and now I see why. Thank you so much for coming out today and for bringing this to the attention of the Coquitlam community.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to see Woody's participate in such a wonderful, warm, and giving way.
Michael has spent a significant part of his life rescuing and saving other people's lives through volunteering with Coquitlam Search and Rescue. And now he needs someone to help save his life. Welcome to Plugged In, Michael. Thank you for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me here.
So, Michael, I wanted to start off by talking a little bit about the type of kidney disease that you have, which is polycystic kidney disease. Mm-hmm. Can you explain what exactly that means?
Yeah, polycystic kidney disease is, it's basically what it sounds like. I have multiple cysts growing in my kidneys, and as time goes on, those cysts, they're just filled with fluid. They push the good kidney tissue out, and slowly the kidneys get worse and worse function until they fail.
The other interesting piece about polycystic kidney disease is that it's an inherited disease, and meaning that one of your parents has to have the disease, and there's a 50% chance that the child can inherit. But in your case, it's kind of an interesting story that goes with that. Do you want to talk a little bit about that piece?
Yeah, I was adopted when I was born, and a few years prior to this being diagnosed, I'd looked into my heritage, and I'd found my birth mother. And then I was diagnosed with polycystic kidney disease. And of course I was told that this is a genetic disease. Most of the time it's inherited, and I realized that quickly that it hadn't come from my mother's side. So I had to start looking into who my birth father was. And that led to a very interesting search involving Facebook and friends of the family, and a lot of sleuthing on my own part. And I eventually tracked him down. And yeah, he did have polycystic. He does have polycystic kidney disease. Yeah.
And even how you actually, what I guess led you to the diagnosis of polycystic kidney disease is, there's an interesting story with that one too that's kind of attached to your volunteer work with Search and Rescue.
Well, around the year 2000, I volunteered for Search and Rescue here in British Columbia. I volunteered for Coquitlam SAR. And we were doing some advanced medical training with, we were learning how to take blood pressure, and we were doing it the old-fashioned way, not the modern cuff, but like a cuff and a stethoscope, and it's very fumbly. So we had it demonstrated to us by a registered nurse, and then we were doing it on each other, partners, and I would do my partner, he would do me. And he was getting this high blood pressure reading from me. Of course, being a beginner, we called the nurse over to help.
See what he's doing wrong.
Exactly, and it turns out he was getting it right. I did have, my blood pressure was high, and so she told me, you should get this checked out. I went ahead with my life, but the next week she came back and she brought her stethoscope and her blood pressure cuff, and she did it again. And she took me aside and said, you really have to get this checked out. This is high. It's not just a small thing. So that's what led me to going to see the doctor and then the diagnosis. So,
which must have been quite a shock for you, because as we were talked earlier, being an inherited disease, you didn't have that background, that family history, so you kind of were walking in blind to be told then you've got an inherited kidney disease.
Well, yeah, at that time in my life, I was very fit. I cycled across Canada. I rode my bike everywhere. And in the kind of peak condition, leading mountaineering trips and backcountry skiing, 10-day traverse kind of things. So yeah, to be told that you had this disease was kind of a shock, yeah.
You do volunteer with search and rescue, and as you said, it's pretty physically demanding. You're out there on the mountains, you're rescuing people, you're saving lives. How did this diagnosis, I mean, at first, did it change anything? And you've been living with polycystic kidney disease for a number of years now, so how has it actually impacted your lifestyle and your ability to go out and do that kind of volunteer work?
When he diagnosed me, he said that he thought my kidneys would last until I was around 50. And so I thought, well, I've got, from 30 to 50, I've got good 20 years here to do some stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I just went ahead with all that stuff.
You kind of continued on because you were leading a pretty active and healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, but being at the beginning of my search and rescue volunteering, I didn't see the point in quitting that either. So I just went at that too. So I became a lot of different certifications in search and rescue, helicopter rescue. But as time goes on, your kidney function is on a very slow decline all the way down. And there was a rescue in about 2016, I think, where we were helicoptering a woman off of a very steep cliff. She was cliffed out, like on a ledge. And myself and a member of the team were doing the rescue, and I felt on that rescue not in peak condition. I felt out of breath and tired, and I put together that and my condition, and I said, I have to step back from this. I'm gonna step back from that, and then not too long afterwards, I kind of stepped back from field work as well. I don't go into field anymore. But interestingly, running a search and rescue team is way more than the field work. I got trained as a SAR manager. I helped design our new command truck. I'm heavily involved in technology and provincial.
Because you're also a software engineer. That's your day job, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So there's so many other things involved with running a team that I'm able to keep very much involved in the search and rescue community as a whole.
Thanks, Michael. So stay with us. We'll be back with more of Michael's story right after this.
Okay, I'm here outside of Woody's Pub with one of our favorite people from the Kidney Foundation, Guy LaPierre, member of the board of directors. Guy, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. We're happy to be here. It's a great day. Happy to support this event. Gordon Cartwright with his Dare to Dream Foundation and what they're doing for organ transplant registration is amazing, amazing effort. It's nice to see that a local business is stepping up and guiding us and providing that leadership.
Like you said, there's a Saving Lives Through Organ Donation campaign, and actually you're on a committee for that with the board, right?
I was very fortunate. I was invited to help, and what the business leaders are doing is contacting other business leaders and peer-to-peer. And I will take this moment to challenge other Coquitlam businesses to join Gordy and his team in registering people. And if they'd like more information, absolutely contact the Kidney Foundation, and we'd be very happy to help you with that support.
What's amazing with this, I heard Gordy say inside that when he heard about they were looking for community leaders anywhere in any community, it took him about 2 seconds to say, yes, I'm in. So they've set the goal of 125 for this pub alone, right, and wanting to go onwards and upwards. And Guy, you can speak to the importance of organ donation personally because you're a transplant recipient.
A kidney patient. My household, we were both transplant patients, so our lives were saved by the gift of life. And it's a big part of what we're doing. And absolutely, 10 years ago, actually yesterday, was my 10-year anniversary. So I'm 10 years, and my sister was my donor, and I'm very proud of that. And she and I were at the Kidney March, so we strolled in the woods for 100 kilometers, and it was quite an event. And again, the Kidney Foundation is supporting across Canada. And the Big Tent initiative is to get people to come out and register as an organ donor and provide that gift of life. And we're seeing a really great take-up here in the Tri-Cities. It's in a community-based, both Port Moody, Coquitlam, and Port Coquitlam. And then now to have Gordy and here at Woody's Pub, this is amazing. So if you're looking for somewhere to go on Monday Night Football, part of the proceeds come to the Dare to Dream Foundation, and they're part of what make this day possible. So it's really exciting.
If I can say so, you're like the poster guy for transplant recipient, having just finished, last weekend, a 100-kilometer walk, and I mean, you look fantastic for 10-year anniversary. This is what signing an organ donor card
can do.
Absolutely. It's life-changing, and it really is an opportunity. It provides a person. I was able to go back to work, and I happened to have fallen in love with another transplant patient. We got married, and our lives were very much due to somebody's gift. And so if I can ask just generally is if you don't know how to get involved, it's sign up as an organ donor, and we're happy to have you.
So if you're a business owner out there, just think about it, but don't think about it too long. Contact Guy at the Kidney Foundation. We'll put the information up on the screen. And please consider signing up to be an organ donor and getting your business involved. Anything else you want to say, Guy?
No, just thank you to the Kidney Foundation and Gordy again for what he's doing here at Woody's Pub.
Thank you, Guy.
Thank you so much, Barb.
There is no cure with kidney disease. There's really two options. There's either the transplant or there's dialysis.
That's right, yeah.
So it's been in the last little while that you've had, I guess, some more serious conversations with your doctor around that piece.
Well, in 2017, I was referred to the transplant clinic. And my doctor at the time said that he thought it was early for me to be referred there, but he didn't see a problem with doing it early. He said there's no real downside to being assessed. So I went there and I was assessed for transplant and approved as a recipient. And then this summer, again, they reassessed me being a couple years later again. But it was March of this year that both the transplant clinic and the kidney clinic were stressing to me that, okay, things are getting to the time where you really, you're thinking it's about a year and a half from now, you will probably need a transplant. So it's time for you to start making it widely known and getting more people involved coming up for donation. And they stress that, there's a lot of reasons why someone who wants to donate might not be able to, that they might wash out of the program. So it's very important to have multiple people coming forward so that because any one of them could be, and they can change their minds at any time, of course, too. That's important to know.
So they were really talking about something called a preemptive transplant, where you would get the transplant before you ever needed to go on
That's
dialysis.
Right. Yeah.
And so let's talk a little bit about that process, the process you're still going through in terms of trying to find a donor. What have you done? How have you gone about that?
Mostly Facebook. I posted to Facebook a private message in 2017 about how I was going to be assessed. And so my closer friends knew about it, but I made sure that people knew that it was preemptive and it wasn't very urgent. But in March of this year, two things happened. The doctors told me that I needed to think more carefully about this, but out of the blue, and a friend of a friend of a friend kind of thing contacted me on Facebook and said, hey, I hear you need a kidney. I've got two, I'm willing to donate to you. And so that person went ahead and signed up through the kidney transplant process. And that kind of ticked me over. It's like, this person came out of the blue. I better get some more people involved in this. And so that's when I wrote a more public appeal on Facebook, detailing where I was in the process and what my kidney function level was and things like that. So that was sort of the cry for help. I asked people to step forward, and that's when that happened.
And I know that members of your search and rescue team have also stepped up and...
Yeah, not just my team either. The search and rescue community in BC is 80 teams all over the province. And I've been very fortunate over the years to have gone all over the province and met many of them. So members of the SAR community who I don't necessarily know very well are also coming forward to be tested from various places in BC.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're still out there, you're sharing your story, and your search is continuing. Because as the doctors said, the more people you put into the pool, then obviously the greater likelihood that someone's gonna be a good match.
That's right, yeah. My partner Sylvia went through the process of being assessed, and Yeah, they test you every different way to make sure that you're completely healthy and that giving that kidney will have the least effect on your life as possible. So I mean, the good thing about going through being tested as a donor
Yes.
is if there's anything wrong with you, they'll find it.
Yes.
And they're very careful. They won't tell me anything about what's happening to the people being tested. They have a whole separate set of doctors to do that.
We know it's going to go the right way for you.
I hope so, yeah.
We do. And we're all behind you and wishing you the very, very best. And as we said, we're going to get all that good information out there.
Okay.
And thank you so much for coming by and sharing your story with us today.
That was my pleasure.
Thank you.
Can you imagine losing most of something without realizing it? Over time, kidney disease can destroy up to 80% of kidney function before you notice any symptoms. Talk to your family doctor to see if you're at risk and need to be screened. It could save your life.
Well, when we have a search, our members show up, and we created this outside area to be sheltered because clearly we can have about 35 or 40 people show up. They can't all fit inside, so we have extra awnings on the outside, and this is kind of like a self-serve check-in. We get all of our supplies that you might be using when you're in the field, new batteries and things like that, gloves, earplugs, safety equipment, and of course coffee. And
you're gonna have
exactly, water and food there, and then like a stove to take with you in the field if you need it for a certain type of search. And down at the end there is another radio and a phone, so we can actually, if I'm outside the truck as a manager, I can talk on the radio, monitor what's happening, and you could stand here and brief people as well. Yeah, and then the rest of this on this side is almost all rescue equipment. Normally there's a stretcher in here, but we used it earlier this week, so it's being dried and cleaned. And this is a bag, is all the equipment that you need to put someone in a stretcher and make sure they're comfortable if you have to carry them a long way.
This is actually better, and it's good that you put the awning for a reason so that.
Yeah, and there's a second awning up here too that we push that out too, so there's even more space. And then there's an awning on the other side. This is our technical connection to the truck for power and data connections. And we can get some external radio stuff as well. And this is our rope rescue equipment and most of our first aid equipment that's on this truck. And we're just weeks away from getting delivery on another rescue truck to replace our current rescue truck. We call
this one or the one that's
the other one. Yeah, it's a pickup, so it's much smaller. But yeah, we've been designing it for 2 years, and it's being built right now. And we're very excited. We'll have to take all the equipment off our other truck and put it on the new one in the next couple of weeks.
like the new toy and everybody wants.
Yeah, everyone will want to drive it for the next few weeks. Yeah.
Looking forward to seeing the new one as well.
Yeah, we haven't had and we need to have some sort of ceremony to bring it in. And,
there you go.
Yeah.
Courtney Cartwright, owner of Woody's Pub on Brunette and the host of a Saving Lives Through Organ Donation event today. Gordy, what a great success this was. How do you feel?
I just feel wonderful, wonderful. The turnout was great. To meet all the rescue people, search and rescue people from Coquitlam, to see their truck out there today and the enthusiasm from them all. And our politicians here, Selina Robinson, to come all the way from Victoria just to visit us, like, wow.
And in your speech earlier, you were saying, that when they asked for community leaders to step up to help raise awareness about organ donation, it took you about, what'd you say, two seconds or so to...
3 seconds, yeah, and to step up and say, yeah, here we are, yeah.
Say I'm in. So, we're standing in front of something else very beautiful. Look at this. This is kind of cool, so you got to tell me about this. There's a commitment dealing with this, right? What is that? What's Woody's Pub going to do here?
This is the thermometer that we're going to use, and as we progress to our commitment of 125 donor cards, we're going to have a thermometer, and all our participants, our customers, clients, can see how it's progressing. So as we go along, we'll just fill it up, and our goal on next Green Shirt Day will be for 125 donor cards, which I can't add math very good, but that's probably 1,000 lives so that we can touch and be part of. So
you know, if you get 125 new organ donors, and I see there's an arrow here, so you're not going to be stopping there, it's going to be going higher. Right, the fact that every donor can save up to 8 lives. I mean, that's multiplied, you know, exponentially. So it's quite amazing. So we were here at Green Shirt Day when you were actually one of the first businesses in British Columbia to participate in Green Shirt Day, and you were raising awareness. You were all wearing green, but you were also raising awareness for every customer to let them know that they have the option to be an organ donor, registered organ donor. And you've got some of those cards with you in your hand. Can you show the camera?
1, 2, 3. We got 6 people signed up just today. And on the Green Shirt Day that you were talking about, we had 12 people sign up that day. And people just need a little push, just to have that push to want to sign.
Yeah,
And it takes about maybe 1 minute. So 1 minute can save a lot of lives. So that's why we're excited about the whole thing. And yeah.
I just caught up with Ramya Hosek, who is the Director of Philanthropy at the Kidney Foundation of Canada, the BC and Yukon branch, and she was organizing this event here as well, the Saving Lives Through Organ Donation. Ramya, you're having a rest. I'm so glad you're sitting down for a couple of minutes because you've been run off your feet today.
It's been a busy morning.
But that's kind of usual for you. You're always here or there, very busy.
Keeps you busy. Yeah.
And the Saving Lives Through Organ Donation campaign, you've got to tell me a little bit more about this.
Well, it's great. I think that right now we're really trying to increase awareness of kidney disease, risk factors, and organ donation. And events like this where we can bring the community together and do so it's just incredible. We had some wonderful speakers here today. We talked about the importance of registering to be an organ donor, telling your loved ones about it, but also considering living organ donation, which is really an important piece of it. And we heard Michael Coyle speak to a little bit about that.
This was an example of where somebody from the community can actually step up and host an event.
100%, and I think that that's what gives a different element to it, is community stakeholders, business leaders saying, I can do this and so can you. And it's things like this where the entire community comes together, I think that really creates change.
So my understanding, they set a goal, a personal goal for this business here, and perhaps set an example for other businesses that can come on board. And that's the concept of saving lives. If other companies are out there, not only in the Coquitlam area, but any community to get involved.
You 100% got it. That's exactly what it is that a community leader, business leader is inspired, wants to inspire his or her employees to do the same. So let's say every business in the local area said, you know, I want to sign up my employees, my staff, customers to be organ donors. So today we had Gordy say, you know, I want to register 125 organ donors by April 7th, which is Green Shirt Day. If one organ donor can save 8 lives, if you do the math really quick, and I think I have this right, that's 1,000 lives. So if we could just have businesses across the Lower Mainland and in BC do that, that is the ethos of saving lives.
Well, that's great. So Ramya, anybody interested in this, can they contact you directly at the Kidney Foundation?
Please do. My name is Ramya Hosek, ramya.hosek@kidney.ca, and I'd love to get in touch.
So Michael, we've just been sitting here chatting and you've been telling me some pretty interesting search and rescue stories. So I think, you know what, in fairness, we maybe should share a few with our audience. So do you want to share a couple of your favorites?
Okay, yeah. Because of my rescue skills in helicopter rescue, I was chosen to be part of a team for the 2010 Olympics. We were stationed at the downhill course in Whistler, and for basically the entire week, I basically stood next to the helicopter at the base of the hill, waiting for a skier to crash. And if a skier crashed, they would, the head of patrol would point to me and say, go, and we were supposed to go run on down to the helicopter and rescue the skier. Of course, we thought nothing would happen and that it would just be a great week of watching skiing. But lo and behold, I was there one day, and right on halfway down the course, one of the American skiers, Stacy Cook, she crashed and she went through the nets. And the patrol started going out, and a few seconds later, the chief of patrol told us to go. And myself and the pilot jogged on down to the helicopter. And the kind of rescue we were doing, I'm not in the helicopter. I'm wearing a harness, and I clip onto a rope that's attached to the helicopter, and the pilot, he fires that thing up, and he flies up, and I'm at the end of 200 feet of rope, and I'm being pulled up in the air, and I basically fly over the entire ski run, and they lower me down into the middle of the run. Thankfully, the training took over. We very carefully loaded her up and walked her out to the middle of the run, and I called the helicopter back, and we took her off down to the hospital, and loaded her on the stretcher. I actually walked her right into the operating theater. They had a fully staffed operating room in case the crash was bad. But in her case, it wasn't. She actually ended up skiing the next day and competing in the Olympics, which is great.